Alright, what's up guys, it's Zero here, and today I thought I'd give my first impression on some of the cards for Set 1G and overall what I think about the new box system, the new crafting, GRs and all that stuff. We are in a completely new era now. This has only been out for a few days since this recording, so yeah, actually relatively early impressions, but haven't gone to play ladder for like 4 days-ish, so I think my impression on the cards will be more or less right, but I do think that a lot of like the crafting, all the mat getting, stuff like that, will be dependent on the events that we get down the line. So just be aware of that. But without further ado, I'll start off the cards first. So Set 1G gave us the new Kagero Chronicle, and it gave us strat support for Royal Paladin and Kagero, more specifically Blade Master and Alt Mile. So let's just go to the G stuff only. We'll start with Gear Chronicle just because it's probably what people most care about the most. So Gears they got like a good chunk of support. Mainly, I think I'd say the most notable card is the Chrono Jet Dragon. Everyone loves this card. Surprise card looks sick. This is just the rank war art. Looks really clean. I really like it. But Chrono Jet skill is GB2, one attack Vanguard plus 5k. And he gets a glory effect with GB2, so and it's pretty good. But the main reason why Chrono Jet's so good for the deck that he's in is his on stride skill. So when strode upon or when you stride on him, CB1 bot deck up, brought back bot deck anything. So what this card basically does, it lets you consistently push pressure every turn. You stride, you bot deck like an intercept, you can push face twice to 3 damage every turn. You use your main ride. The deck really does function pretty much solely on Chrono Jet. If you aren't on Chrono Jet, you just kind of get screwed over for it. So very, very good card. You definitely need to play this card, but it's nice that it's free because it's a rank reward. They also got the Legion, the Ruin Disposal, I think is the name of this card, but his skill is on Legions with a 9k that has the skill when attacking Vanguard, you can Soul Blast 1 to make it so your opponent cannot guard grade zeros. But his skill is on Legion bot deck a card, and when attacking a Vanguard, CB1, get 3k power, and you bot deck one of your opponent's grade 1 or lower rear. So it's a okay alternate ride, but realistically speaking, this deck is ride Chrono Jet or bust. So it's cool that it's there. His mate is okay too, but this deck is basically just ride Chrono Jet or bust. Grade 2, they got some like cool cards, really like relatively generic cards. This is the mate. This is a Berserk Dragon, but a bot deck instead of retires. This is a Bellicosity on hit countercharge 1. This is a has resist and has a Guard Strike, but the Guard Strike condition is kind of awkward, so kind of whatever card. And I guess the Glimmer Breath is pretty noticeable. GB1 on play, if your Vanguard is a Chrono Jet, you can Soul Blast 1 counter blast. When it bot deck something, he gets plus 2k. So solo attacker and relatively cheap bot deck, so pretty good card to have. Grade 1's nothing too special. Oh yeah, all 3 clans did get a new style of PGs. They're countercharge PGs, so they're PGs. They are proc off the new condition, so only when you're about to eat lethal will you PG with this. But it also has a skill that when you PG, if you have another copy of this card in your drop zone, you get the countercharge one. So say you have like 3 PGs in hand, and they all get knocked out on that turn. The first PG that procced will not countercharge. The next one will countercharge 1, and the one after that will also countercharge 1, not 2, because it just checks for 1. It just checks for the 1 to countercharge. So yeah. And starters, got pretty jack shit starters, but G-Zone is relatively noticeable. Mystery Flare is surprisingly not a meme. His skill is on hit to Vanguard, you can CB4 to check top 3 cards of your deck, and if those 3 cards all have a different grade, you get an extra turn. And if you whiff, you countercharge 4, so you refund because this card did get buffed, so you don't have to check 4 different grades, just check 3 different grades. And the fact that there are grade 0s in this game now, the skill goes off more often than you think, so this card's actually really pretty good, and is honestly surprisingly the scariest card in Gears to me. So yeah. Next up is the Lost Age, pretty okay card on hit bot deck something. So bot deck a back row, it's free, it's cool. It looks like a pretty okay first ride, so pretty okay card. Chronos Command on hit, the Vanguard Soul Blast 1, counter blast 2, bot deck everything. So more or less is blocking your back row. This card is relatively overcosted, I think, because more often than not, if you're gonna bot deck something with Chronos Command, you're probably botting like 1 extra card. In which case, Lost Age probably just does his job a bit better. But it's here for matchups where your opponent has to have a whole back row, like something like Royals or Golden like that. pretty good against those matchups, but other than that, Lost Age pretty much does what Chronos Command does, but better. And the GRs, first off with the Ragnarok, so on attack to Vanguard, CB1, Persona Flip. 2, make a certain point cannot guard with grade 0s, and if you have 2 or more cards face up in your G zone, he gets a crit, and you blood an opponent's grade 1 or lower rear card. So it's like a pseudo finish, but realistically speaking, the card is just a crit more often than not, so it's okay, I guess. Sucks that it's a GR and Persona Flip, so yeah. And then finally, in my opinion, the better of the two strides is the Fate Rider. So his skill is once per turn, no cost. You can put a card on your board back to bottom of your deck, and call any card that's 1 grade higher than the card you put back. So you put a 0, you get a call 1. You call 1, you get a 2. You get 2, get a 3, so on and so forth. I guess that's it. But yeah, and then for each card in your G zone, you give 1 card 3k power. So if you have 1 face cup card in your G zone, give something 1 3k. You have 2, gives 2 separate cards 3k. Pretty nice. So probably that's a scale, but this lets you unbrick your board to whatever you need it to be. So this card's pretty good. Overall, I think Gears are a really, they're a playable deck. I don't think they're like super amazing or anything, but they definitely are a very playable deck out of the gate with only 1 wave support, which is pretty nice to see. Next up is the clan I care for the most, Kagero. So Kagero technically got 2 different ways of support, Blade Master and the Cross. But the Cross's support is just itself. So yeah, I'll go over the G zone first. I don't remember. This is Mahmood, I think. I don't remember his name, but I'm pretty sure his name is Mahmood. On hit, retire or something. So on hit, pop a booster. It's kind of whatever, especially in Kagero, where if you're playing a retire heavy deck anyways, you could probably retire the stuff anyways. And this card isn't really that good in .X because you don't really want to stride. You don't stride that much anyways. Or rather, when you do stride in that deck, you're trying to end the game, and this card doesn't help you end the game in any possible way. So yeah. A card that does help you though is the Mustafa. So his skill is once per turn, CB1, flip any card in G zone face up, and you retire a card, and then for each copy of itself face up in your G zone, you get to give any of your cards on hit countercharge one. So more often than not, you're unflipping itself, so you can give a card on hit countercharge, so you can repay for this cost. But yeah, pretty good first try, lets you kill something. Near the end of the game, something like .XU or the Cross, what do you want to call that deck? You can use this as like a CB1 pop a front row. And anti-fuel GB for the root flare for a follow-up, so pretty good card. It isn't a Persona Flip, so technically you don't need more than 1 of this card, but it's definitely nice to have as much as you can get for this card. And finally, the root flare. So his skill is GB2, Persona Flip once per turn. You can Persona Flip and you kill and you choose a card and then you kill everything in that column. So a Pain Laser, if you know what that card does. So yeah. It's free retire. It's actually free more or less, ignoring the Persona Flip cost, of course. No counter blast cost, no soul blast cost or anything like that. So free column retire is pretty nice. And that's it for the strides. Or they're okay, I guess. Mustafa and Ruth are definitely good ones. Mahmood is kind of just filler. And finally, the new cards. These cards kind of suck. I don't even know what they do. In my opinion, the best card of the set and the best deck out of this set is the Dragonic Overlord with the Cross. So he legions with the End, everyone's favorite Overlord from back in set 4. On Legion, you search a copy with the same name as something on your Vanguard. So when you're in Legion, you search for a copy of the End. Since your mate's Vanguard skills also proc, if you hit and you search the copy of the End, you can use the End skill. So this card is basically just the End on crack, because it's the End, but it's really big and can search a Persona copy of itself. His other skill is when this card's attack doesn't hit, you can CB1 Persona Blast. So since it's Persona Blast on discard, you have to discard a copy of the Cross specifically. So the Cross has used the Cross to pay for its skill, and Don't its pay for Dote's skill to pay for his cost. So you can't swap them interchangeably. So you CB1, discard a copy of itself to pop 2 rear guards. So more or less you're shoving 2 backwards when this card attacks whip. Comes up every once in a while, but it's not that common and you don't use it that often. But it's there in some scenarios where it could be helpful. But yeah, this card is basically just the End on crack. It's really, really good. Trust me when I say this card, they're really, really good. I think this is by far the best deck in this set, hands down. And in my opinion, the worst deck in this set, hands down, is Blade Master. So his skill is GB2, if you have more rears than your opponent, plus 5k plus a crit. And on stride, CB1, pop a rear. Oh yeah, and all these stride card that when strided on cards have on play plus 3k, so it scales if you're going first against a 9k. So that's pretty cool, I guess. But CB1 pop, it's cool, it's efficient, but the issue with this deck is that all the other Kagero decks are doing something like this. Blade Master stuff just isn't doing anything better than the other Kagero decks. That's why I don't think that this deck is particularly good. Yeah. That's it for Blade Master. Grade 2s, they got nothing noticeable, and Grade 1s, they got nothing. Actually, no, Grade 1s, they got quite a few, two noticeable cards, I'd say. So, Counter Charge PG, really nice. You play in every deck now. And they got the Grom, so his skills on place, Soul Blast 2, Counter Charge 2. So, this card is really, really good in the cross because you Soul Blast 2 to fill drop zone up for Legion, you Soul Blast 2 to get your mates and extra cards of the cross out of your drop zone to re-Legion back, and you unflip so you can keep using dose and stuff. Grom is absolutely a bonkers card in the cross as a card in a deck. So yeah, very, very good. Since it's grade 1, it's searchable off of Conroe as well if you need to. So very, very, very good card. And some might even call it a mistake because this card actually lets you loop Legions like so much in that deck. It's actually unreal how good Grom plus the cross is. And starters, they got this card, but this card sucks, so it's not Conroe, so we don't care about it. And finally, Royal Paladin. So open the back as well. So they got 3 strides as well. They got the Samuel. So his skill is when attacking Vanguard, your opponent has 4 or less damage, and you have exactly 5 rear guards. You can full board. You can CB1 to ping your opponent for once. You deal them 1 damage, so it's regular, but much lighter cost and on attack instead of during the main phase. Timing kind of doesn't matter, but the lighter cost definitely does matter. It's cool. It's nice to help you push damage or help you try to end games, which is pretty good. So yeah, pretty good stride, I'd say. And here's the Saint Blow Dragon. So his skill is, I think it's on Legion Persona Blast or on Stride Persona Blast or Persona Flip, and he gets 3k for every card in G Zone thing. I actually don't remember what this card does, but the important thing is this card gets a crit. You have 2 more cards in your G Zone, I think, and he gives all your grade 2 rear guards anti-retire. So I don't remember the exact thing of this card, what it does or anything, because I have never get a chance to use it because I only have 1 copy of it right now. But it gets power, it gets crit, which is cool. But importantly, it gives your grade 2 anti-retire, so stuff that retires your cards your cards don't get retired. But the issue with this is that stuff like the Cross will just run into your card and restand, and Clear Crown just bot decking all your cards. So it's good if the meta is filled with a tire, but it isn't right now. So this card's kind of mediocre in my opinion at the moment, but I'm sure this card will eventually have its uses. And in my opinion, the better of the 2 strides is the Blade. So his skill is on hit, you can when this card hits a Vanguard, you can call any grade 2 from your deck. So pretty good. You have a bunch of other grade 2s that call stuff as well, so you can actually do a bunch of cool multi-attacks from ones before. Pretty nice, pretty cool. Yeah. So and I'm having definitely the better of the 2 strides between Saint Blow and Blade out of the 2 GR strides. Oh yeah, I was forgot to mention, every deck got like all of these 3 decks got like a stand trigger with an effect, a heal guardian, and a crit with an effect. I'll go over these in general after, just because I have more thoughts to go about these cards. And they're generic, so it's easier to go over them like that. Grade 3s, they got 1 notice per card, which is Alt Mile. GB2, all your farmer gets 5k, so anything can hit unboosted pretty much. It's cool, I guess, but it's kind of whatever. The skill is on, and then the other skill is on Stride. You can call 2 cards from your hand, and then you can choose 2 cards that give anything 5k, and then you can choose a grade 2 from your drop zone and put it back to the bottom of your deck. So to break it down, he scales your lanes. He calls 2 cards to your hand, which you probably would have called anyways. But then he scales your lanes properly, and then he also lets you recycle and reuse grade 2s, which is actually really nice because since this recycle skill is here, you can play less copies of the cards you normally play at 4 to make space for like 1 or 2 of text in your decks, which I think is pretty cool. Also, since it's cool, that's free. So yeah, grade 2, a lot here actually. The Twin Sword GB1 on attack. When it attacks a Vanguard, if it's boosted CB1, call any grade 2 by itself from your deck. Pretty nice. Lets you tutor for anything you want, and lets you do multi-attacks, which is pretty cool. Next is the Fragment, so GB1. If you have 2 or more grade 2s, so it counts itself, he gets plus 2k. During your turn, you get on-hit Soul Charge 1, counter charge 1, so pretty cool there. Lets you unflip and Soul Charge, which is kind of useful because Mr. Violinist here uses your soul, so his skills on play, Vanguard or rear, Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1, to call any grade 2 other than itself from your deck. So pretty close, that lets you call whatever you need. And a cool tech in the deck is the Tech Gull, pretty fitting name. GB1 he gets boost, so it is a card that you could call with boost with the Violinist if you need to, or call with boost with these things if you just need to, which is pretty okay, I guess. Has its role in their deck, but is just an okay tech at best. Grade 1s, nothing too noticeable. They got the Countercharge PG as well, and all these decks also got Stride fodder, so from hand, if you're paying cost for Stride, they get +2 grade, meaning they're grade 3, making you pay full cost for it with just itself, and these skills also have on play, discard a card to search your deck for their respective rides. So this dude searches Alt Mile, the other one searches Blade Master, and the Gears one searches Chrono Jet. So yeah. Starter, they got a OK card, GB1, Counter Blast 1, put into Soul, call any grade 2 from deck, and has anti-retire. All these starters have anti-retire, not resist though, so that kind of sucks. So overall, as per usual, it's like the high rarity stuff that's noticeable for the cards. So yeah, just basically just the high rarity stuff. So for generic stuff, the triggers, I think the stands all suck. Stands kind of aren't that good in this game anyways, and none of these skills are particularly amazing either. Heal Guardians, though, are pretty much just played in every deck now because they are an extra defensive option and they're still heals, and at worst they're extra boosters. So yeah, if you don't know what it is, from hand, if you were to guard, you can, and if you were to get hit for lethal, if you can drop this down, the card drops this down, the game drops it down for you, and you get +15 power as like a shield, like it is in the TCG. You can proc more than once at a time, and it takes priority over your PGs, but only if you're using one of these, because these things can't stack. So, if, for example, if you need 15k or less to guard, and you have this and a PG in your hand, you would use this. If you have 2 of these in your hand, and it would take 30k more to guard, or a PG, they'd use the PG first, because the game prioritizes less cards to guard with. So yeah. More defensive options is always nice, so that's why like pretty much every deck is playing Heal Guardians by right now. So yeah. And something that only the new decks are these grade 0 crits. So the skill on board is when your Vanguard with the respective names, so Alt Mile, Blade Master, Chrono Jet attacks, you can put it into Soul to get that unit, to draw a card and get that unit 5k, and it has a skill where when they get damage check, you can draw a card. So they're like draw triggers on defense, crits on offense, and when you draw them, they're not dead either because they cycle a card. You would think these cards are really good, but they are actually really bad at the moment, at least. I think that in the current decks, in their current respective decks right now, they're all just bad. Like straight up. Like Kagero still needs its draws to get to do things, because Kagero still is a deck that doesn't generate advantage a lot. Alt Mile has a bunch of on-hit skills, mainly Gablade. That where you flip the crit on a Gablade turn, you check for the 1 PG, where you can maybe check for like 2 instead because of your recall shenanigans that you can do. And Gears need to stride every turn, and if you're playing grade 0s, you have less stride fodder in your deck. So I think these cards are all just not good at the moment. And they probably won't be good in most decks either, because most decks probably will still need their draws. But there are probably a few decks that could probably get away with these, but it's definitely not these current 3 decks right now. So current verdict, these grade 0s suck completely. So that's it for the overview of the cards. And I guess we'll go over my thoughts on the gacha and the crafting system and all that. So if you don't know, they adopted what most people call a Duel Link style, where it's like a box now, where you have a set amount of cards in each box, and you can reset the boxes to put those cards back into the box. So as you can see, something like this. So for example, during my current run of the box, I've already pulled the 1 Gablade. So as I continue to open this box, I cannot pull any more Gablades until I hit the reset button, which I will not, because I still need cards from this box. I don't want to reset right now. And now, from the looks of it, these sets use set-specific gacha tickets. We don't know for sure yet, but they probably are. Obviously, you use gems, and your old packs don't work on these stuff. So, what are my thoughts on this? Economy-wise, I think that the box system overall is a okay thing. The only thing that's a little concerning right now is the GRs, because there's only 1 per box, and you have a full box of 150. So there's that. The good thing about that is that everything that's not a GR as long as you run through the box a few times, you will get playsets of everything, more or less. As most of these GRs are persona flips, so you need to probably run through the box at least twice anyways. So assuming 2 full runs of a box, you get a playset of all the triple rares, a playset of all the doubles plus excess, and like 2 of each GR, which is usable for everything, more or less. So I think overall it's good for the economy of everything else but the GRs. But the GRs are still mildly concerning at the moment, just because again, they're like the hardest thing to pull out of the box, obviously. But the crafting is also kind of just iffy, because GRs take a whopping 5k GR mats to craft a singular copy of it. The only way to get GR mats at the moment is duping stuff out of these boxes. So if I remember correctly, I think dupe commons give 1, dupe rares give 2, dupe double rares give 20, I think, and dupe triple rares give 100, and dupe GR should give 500. But you realistically shouldn't be duping GRs anyways. And then for every rarity but common, double the amount that you get for deconstructing SPs or duping SPs. So just for reference, I've opened like more or less like 1.5-ish boxes run total, and I'm sitting at like 4.7k GR mats after tossing away like 1 mil creation stones to get some extra GR mats. So take that as you will. It's okay. It's like the first set of G, so we don't know how everything's gonna play out yet. Maybe there's events where we get GR mats, so always could be hopeful of that. But I do think that as we get more sets and as we go further along in G, GRs will be less of a concern to get, just because you know, you open more sets, you get more dupes, you get more extra GRs. As long as you're smart about saving your crafts for what you need, you should be able to just craft everything eventually. So yeah. And they also made it so the non-GR mats are a lot easier to get. You get a lot more per character fights and stuff, so that's also really good. And yeah, overall, I think that the box system it's still the first month, so I can't say for sure. But at the moment, I think it's fine. It's not amazing, just because the GRs might be too hard to get, but hopefully it'll make it easier to get. We don't know, so yeah. Just be hopeful. Obviously, it looks pretty bad now, but I'm sure it'll get better later. I am actually hopeful that they do give us more ways to get GR mats, or maybe they make it cheaper to craft. Who knows? But I'm sure it'll work out somehow. So yeah, that's it for my thoughts on the early impressions of the cards and the box system, all that. Like and subscribe, all the good stuff. Tell me what you guys think about the G update and how everything is like that, and all that good stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Peace out.